I recently made a video, and in it I stated that I don't like macroing, and then people thought that means I don't like Blue Hives, because Blue Hive mostly macro. So, let's make this clear before you start disliking the video. I don't dislike Blue Hives, but I dislike macroing. Also, I don't dislike you if you macro. Onett made it so Blue Hives need you to macro because boosting as Blue Hives is kind of bad. So Blue Hives need to macro if they want to make a lot of honey. Blue Hives used to be good at boosting, but then instead of nerfing macroing, he nerfed boosting. I'm pretty sure he did this so that he gets more time that people are playing the game and gets him more money. Another way he could get more money is actually updating the game. Anyway, let's move on. Now look at this comment I got. It's talking about Blue Hives, but just look at the bottom which sums it up.
So basically red and white have to spend lots of time and resources on boost to earn around 100 trillion, and not everyone can boost every day. While Blue Hives every day get about 50 trillion without boosting at all while doing and spending nothing. This is very fair.
Those stats are not 100% correct, but you get the basic idea. So my first point is, it is OP. Now if macroing cost you a lot of items then there wouldn't be any, well, hardly any, problems with doing it. But as you know, it costs literally nothing. But how is it a problem, you may be asking? Why shouldn't we just all be macroing if it's that OP? This comes down to another factor, that you are not actually playing the game. What is the point of Bee Swarm Simulator, if all you're doing on the game is nothing at all? All that's happening is your computer is running the game and playing the game for you, making you all your honey. Onett allows players to macro even though it's as close to exploiting or cheating as you can get. Although, as discussed before, that the more time players spend on the game the more money Onett makes. So yeah, Onett is not too fussed about macroing, and neither are the players. Or should I say Blue Hives. Red and White Hives are a bit annoyed by it, and I've heard some call Blue Hives lazy. Which I don't think is that inaccurate, but anyway. And again, you could say to Red and White Hives, why don't you just become a Blue Hive and start macroing? Well, me included, when Red and Whites hop on Bee Swarm they actually want to play, not have your computer play for you. If you think about it, macros are like your employees who does your work for you. But instead in Bee Swarm, you don't actually pay them. And I don't mean pay the macros real money, but it should cost you items in the game. Basically your macros aren't even your employees, they're your servants. This is why Red and White Hives are annoyed by this. But I don't want to start a war between Blue Hives and Red and White Hives. As I have said before, Blue Hives need to macro if they want to make honey, so it's not their fault they are doing it. If it's anyone's fault it's Onett's, who has seemed to forget about Bee Swarm for the second year in a row. Even though we all like Onett, I am now starting to get convinced that Onett doesn't like Bee Swarm anymore. And although it may sound far-fetched, just look at the last 2 years where Onett has only given a bare minimum amount of updates to the game. He only updates at Beesmas, because he needs to, or the game will probably die. But how is Onett losing interest in the game the reason for macroing? Well, Onett losing interest in the game means he works on the game less and we get less updates. That means less players on the game and less money for Onett, so getting players to macro all day is a good way to make money. But maybe I'm wrong, and Onett isn't losing interest in the game and is just finding it hard to get updates out and make all the new items and features work. Except, it's been a whole year and should have been able to accomplish something. Another argument you can make is that Onett just can't find a way to nerf macroing for Blue Hives. If players continue to macro, I think this is going to have a bad effect on the game. It's just free honey that people don't have to work for. It will make people not bother to actually play the game. Need a few trillion honey, I'll just macro overnight. And yes, in Beesmas players will have to play the game to do the quests, but Beesmas only lasts about 3 months. And what will happen for the rest of the year? After judging the last 2 years I think you can see what will happen. I really hope that Onett will spend a lot more time on the game next year, but I've heard that he's working on a new game. Can you imagine that, Onett being a solo developer on 2 games? We might not even get Beesmas then. I'm not sure if the future's too bright. After this depressing video, I hope I haven't ruined your day. Also, like I said before, thank you for 500 subscribers. I really appreciate it, and for the support on my last video, which is now my most viewed video. Well, that is it for today. Goodbye.